Good morning, everyone. Friends, yesterday, as part of day one demo, we focused on business intelligence activities. Why business intelligence? What is the outcome of the business intelligence? What do you want to exactly achieve with that? And then we deeply had a discussion about MSBI tools and also discussed something about why MSBI, even though we have so many tools available in the market, right? And then duration and then other details as well. With that, now I'm going to start. I'm going to start with SSIS architecture now, right? Okay. So what is SSIS? So MSBI, like Microsoft Business Intelligence, is having different kind of tools now. Among that, SSIS is the tool. Full form is SQL Server Integration Services. The main motto of this particular tool is to perform data integration and ETL activities. ETL full form is extraction, comma transformation, and loading. And loading, right? And then SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services. This is for data visualization and report design portion. SSAS, SQL Server Analysis Services. This is for our data analysis purpose by using multidimensional model or tabular model. Are we good? So now I'm going ahead and focusing on this particular area, right? Okay. SSIS architecture. So as part of SSIS architecture, what are we mainly focusing on? Focusing on core components of SSIS. What are the core components of SSIS? SSIS runtime engine. And the second one is data flow pipeline engine. Two engines, which are really, really important. Yeah, really important. Right. So before we have a deep dive into these two engines in detail, I just want to cover the background. What do you mean by background here? Right? Right. First of all, versions of SQL Server. So we all know that MSBA is a built-in component of SQL Server. So when we talk about versions of SQL Server, that internally talks about versions of MSBI. Right. Now guys, first one is SQL Server 2000, and where we used to create DTS packages, and file extension was DTS. DTS full form is Data Transformation Services, a service that transforms the business data, that processes the business data from one format to another format. Here the file extension is .dts. DTS full form is Data Transformation Services. Next one. The SQL Server 2005. This is the first MSBI stack where you can see SSIS. Where you can see SSIS. Hi Syed Abdul.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, dear. Right. And here the extension is .dtsx. Now starting from 2005, 8, R2, 2012, 14, 16, 14, 16, 17, and 9. So here it is 12, 14, 16, 17, 19 as well. So these are the different types of versions of SQL Server and MSBI, because MSBI is a built-in component of your SQL Server. Any questions on this? But Sir, in the first version of SS SQL Server 2020, the file extension was DTS. But starting from 2005 onwards, they renamed it as DTSX. What is that? What is the difference between these two? Okay. Can someone tell me? .xls, .xlsx. What is the difference between these two? This is Excel 97 to 2003 version. And this is Excel 2007 onwards. Are we good now? Are we good now? So X means extension of the previous version. Extension of the previous version. Are we good, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma. Right. Next one. I want to write a C# coding, Andy. Where do you write the C# coding? Visual Studio. Guys, please make it more interactive. Don't sit idle, ma. Right. I want to write a SQL Server code. SQL Server Management Studio. Simply SSMS. Right. I want to write Java code. Eclipse. Sir, what are these things? Visual Studio, SSMS, Eclipse. What we call them as? IDE. Integrated Development Environments. Right. What is the IDE for MSBI then? What is the IDE for MSBI? Where can we perform ETL reporting and data analysis activities? SQL Server Data Tools. SSDT, what we call it as simply. Which is a built-in component, which is a built-in component, plug-in component, not built-in, plug-in component. Plug-in component of Visual Studio. Are we good, Amma? Sir, why are we discussing all these things? You mentioned something here. We are going to focus on SSIS architecture. But we started with the versions of SQL Server that internally includes MSBI and IDEs. What are all the different IDEs that we use? Right? Right. So I want to open the IDE and then explain the IDE and environment and these two components simultaneously so that you will be definitely feel better. Now, I'm going to open Visual Studio 2017. Okay, guys, let us open it. And here you can see all three sections, SSIS, SSRS, and SSEAS portion. Right. So here, these are the different projects which I create for my previous batches. Right? Yeah. Let me create a new project. File, new project. If you don't like this way, you have new project here. Okay. Let us go with the same flow. New project. What kind of project that you want to create? Under business intelligence, integration services. Under analysis, you have multidimensional tabular model, right? For the time being, right, we can go ahead with the integration services because we are focusing on integration services project. I'll show you the flow again. File, new project, integration services, integration services. Now see, rename it. You can ask me a question, sir, what are these two? When do we go with these two options? Right. Sir, this is for ADF. ETL operations on cloud. That is going to rock the market in next couple of years. And so if you want to create the ETL activities, data integration activities on cloud, we go for this option. Internally, it uses, we call it as data, Azure Data Factory. And this one is just a wizard where you can see very, very limited minimal functionality, right? So this is the option to create the ETLs, ETL workflows on premise within the local machine. So SSIS morning 9 a.m. underscore October 12th. That is the date. Okay, right. So it's trying to create the project here, guys. It's trying to create the project here. Sir, I don't have access tools or softwares in my local machine. Can you please? Yes, sir, I'll do that. That could be our next activity before we get into all these things. Yes, Abdul. Right. So this is how your total environment looks like. This is how the total environment looks like. Right? Yeah. Sir, what is the file extension here? File extension .dtsx. .dtsx. Right? Yeah. No problem, Abdul. Yes. Right. Sir, what is the name of the file? Package. Sir, now go back to your SSIS runtime manager. Sir, your package is having different types of tabs. Each tab has its own functionality. When you move from control flow to data flow, toolbox also would change. Toolbox would also change its content, right? And then parameters, event handlers, and package explorers. So we have 5 different tabs. Each tab has its own functionality. Each tab has its own functionality. Now guys, where are we now? On which tab? Control flow. Control flow, right? The first option, SSIS runtime engine handles all the activities of both control flow and event handlers of a package. Yes. You have 2 tabs, event control flow and event handlers. Control flow and event handlers. Control flow and event handlers. These 2 activities takes care by one of the core engine called SSIS runtime engine. Do you have any questions on this point, Amma? Do you have any questions on this point, guys? Please.
No.
No question. Okay. Right. Sir, what it contains? What kind of functionality that can be implemented over here in these 2 cases? Right. Sir, control flow contains tasks and containers. Sir, having tea is a task in a 24 hours of a time. Sleeping is a time, 20 is a task in a 24 hours of a time. Having lunch, having food, having snacks, having milk, and reading through the books. These are all the different activities that you are trying to execute. Checking the mails. These are all the different activities that we perform as part of 24 hours. So task means a unit of work, a small work that can be executed through a package. So task means a unit of work which can be executed individually or, or as part of package. What do you mean by that? Okay. Sir, we are in control flow. This blue one, we are in data flow, something like that. Sir, I want to add this data flow task to control flow. Just to drag and drop, nothing else.
Hero project.
Guys, please go on mute, Amma. Please, 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 please. It's recording, right? Yeah, right. So I'm just trying to add data flow task from toolbox to your design surface. Now, initially it takes little longer. From next time onwards, that would be normal time, much faster. Right, right. Sir, I want to execute this task one only. I want to execute this. Okay, we have totally 3 tasks. I want to execute this individually. Right click on the task, execute it. Only that particular task will get executed. Only that particular task will get executed. Guys, if you haven't received the recording sessions yesterday, or else if this is your first day, feel free to provide your email ID and then contact number in the shared drive, like in your chat window, so that I can share the recording session. Right. Now, sir, now guys, see only that particular task got executed, right? Yeah. Sir, when I execute the package, execute task or execute package, all tasks will get executed. So, right, all tasks has been executed. So the execution of the task is completely depending on the requirement. See, a unit of work which can be executed individual tasks or as part of the package. Right? Right. Sir, what kind of tasks we have? I want to execute a SQL command, execute SQL task. The name itself clearly stating that execute SQL task. Now, common task. I want to write a .NET coding script task. I want to write file system task. I want to execute a package within a package, execute package task. I want to execute a batch file, execute process task. So we have different types of tasks available, right? Next one, containers, right? Sir, for I is equal to 0, I less than 10, I is equal to I plus 1, open and close bracket, int a is equal to 10, and a is equal to a plus I, and printf of a. Sir, here we have 3 different activities. Task 1, task 2, task 3. These 3 tasks will be repeated until this condition becomes false. How many times these 3 statements will get executed? How many times these 3 statements will get executed?
10 times, sir. 10 times,
10
sir.
times. So what is this basically? What we call it as for loop. It is containing different types of activities or tasks. So it's like a for loop container. Container contains other tasks in it. Okay. So we have containers. For loop container, it is very much similar to for loop in programming languages. For each loop, same concept and a sequence container. So, so guys, see here now. Can you place a container within a container? Yes. So container contains the tasks. Right. So you divided the total control flow functionality into multiple segments. So you divided the total you divided the total control flow into 4 different blocks. For example, I am from 401 flat number 401. Right? Do you think total flat 401 is a single room or else it's been partitioned into multiple rooms? Yes, it's been partitioned into multiple rooms. Each room has its own functionality. So total 401 has 3 BHK and 3 restrooms and one kitchen, and then two balconies. That's all. So it has its own function. Are we good with the concept, Andy? Are we good with the concept, guys? Containers. For loop container, for each loop container, and sequence container. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? Any questions on this, guys? Okay, next one. Sir, this is my Krishna River, and this is my home. Do you think Krishna River water is ready to drink? No, it has so many impurities. Do you think Krishna River water is directly coming to my home? No, it's not. Then, first it comes to reservoir. How Krishna River water comes to reservoir? Through Wi-Fi? No. Then, pipeline. So there is a pipeline between source called Krishna River and a transformation called reservoir. We do some chlorination activities to clean unwanted bacteria, and then filtered water will be distributed to homes available in the city. Are we good now? Right. Now, sir, we have source system from where we try to extract the business data. Extracted data must be transformed over here, transformation, and finally, you load the data into the destination system. Sir, from source, you are trying to getting the data. Sir, what is this? What is this? Guys, please open up. Guys, please open up. What is this?
Pipeline.
Pipeline. What is flowing over here?
Water.
Water. What is this? Pipeline itself.
Again, pipeline, sir.
Pipeline itself. But what is flowing over here?
Data.
Data. Very nice. That's the reason we call it as a data flow pipelines. If you remember, data flow pipeline, where the data flows from source to transformation, transformation to destination. So, handles all the activities of data flow operations. What are the data flow operations? Number one, data flow sources, from where we extract the business data. Number two, data flow transformation, process or transform the business data. And three, data flow destinations. Destinations, where we loading the data into the destination system. So where do we perform the actual ETL process? In which tab? Data flow tab. Right? Okay. Sir, I'm removing everything, sir. I want to navigate from control flow to data flow. It is scrolling you, hey idiot, you are trying to enter into the theater without having ticket, which is violation. No data flow tasks have been added to this package. Click here to add a new data flow task. What do you mean by that? If you want to navigate from control flow to data flow, you need to have a task called data flow task. See, moves the data between source and destination while transforming and cleaning the data. Data can be moved between tables and files while currently processing it in the memory transformation. So, data flow task describes from where we are trying to extracting the data how this extracted data is getting transformed. Finally, where are we loading the data? All these ETL activities takes care by one of the core engine called data flow pipeline engine. Are we good, guys? Are we good? Okay, let us see. We have data flow task. We have data flow task. Go to data flow tab. See, it's been changed now. If you are in control flow, you can see tasks and containers, right? Tasks and containers. But the moment when I navigate to data flow tab, the total toolbox has been changed. What is that? Sources. Use one or more sources to extract the data. Source means extraction. Source means extraction. Use one or more transformations to modify and aggregate the data. And finally, destination system. This is our loading process. Use one or more destinations to load the data into data stores. What are the data stores? Files and databases. Are we good with the concept? Are we good with the concept, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Next one, connection manager. Connection manager. Right. Sir, connection manager. You tell me, Abdul is sitting somewhere in Dubai. Now, I dialed him to inform something. Connection has been established and conversation is going on. Do you think is there any wire between Hyderabad, my home, and Dubai? No, no wire. But still, there is a connectivity. The connection has been established between Dubai, between Abdul and myself. So, connection management is a logical or a physical?
Logical, sir. Logical, sir.
Logical or physical, Amma? Logical. Connection manager is a logical connectivity between any application and database or file system. It can be anything. It can be anything, guys. Anything. Right. For example, I want to connect to SQL Server. So let us write connection manager for SQL Server. Connection manager for SQL Server. Right. What things must be provided? So SQL Server data source is nothing but server name. Initial catalog is nothing but database name. But who provided the connectivity between myself sitting in Hyderabad and Abdul sitting in Dubai? Network providers. Network provider provides the connectivity between two people. In the same way, we have a provider or a driver. That is SQL Server NCLI 11.0 means SQL Server native client 11.0, which is a default provider for SQL Server. Are we good, Amma? Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Yeah, Sriram. Yes, Sriram, can you please share me your contact number as well? Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Please save this, otherwise I will be missing your details actually. Right. No, this one is a Power App session. This is your MSBA session. Right. And now, sir, now, for example, my client want to share a file. My client want to share a file. So connection manager for file system, shared location or path of the file where the file is located. Yes. So this is about the connection string. Are we good, Amma? Are we good now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Sir, I will open something, sir, and then show you the total end-to-end architecture diagram of SSIS. Right. This is how the total SSIS architecture looks like. Okay. But this yellow portion is completely talking about SSIS runtime engine, SQL Server Integration Services runtime engine, where it handles different types of tasks and container. My container is having different types of tasks again. And also it manages the connection managers and event handlers as well. That is what exactly we discussed. Okay. And now, whenever the data flow task occurs, immediately hand over the control from integration services to uh, data flow pipeline engine. Whenever the data flow task occurs, immediately the control jump to data flow tab where you can see sources, transformations, and finally destinations. But how source data is coming to transformation? Using the pipeline. We call it as a data flow pipeline where the data flows from upstream to downstream via transformation. From upstream to downstream via transformation. Are we good, guys? Are we good now?
Yes, sir.
So this is about the total end-to-end SSIS architecture diagram, right? I'll show you few things. They have mentioned like enumerators. Container is having enumerators. Container, right? Okay. Sir, enumerators comes from containers. Containers are part of your control flow. All right. Let me add that. Right click, edit. You will be seeing so many types of enumerators in the collection tab. Come on, come on. Collection tab and enumerators. For each item enumerator, for each file enumerator, for each ADO.NET enumerator, for each ADO.NET schema, rosette enumerator, and node list enumerator. Are we good, Amma? And we can create the variables as well. Right click and the design surface, variables. So you have new variable. Are we good? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that is about the total end-to-end architecture part and log providers. Right click, loggings. See, if, for example, my package has been running for the past 1 year. Unfortunately, due to some data issue, my package failed last night. Your manager sent a mail, hey, Abdul, can you please identify the root cause and then update me the reason for the failure in another 1 hour? So log files helps you in identifying the root cause, where exactly, when exactly, how exactly, why exactly my package got failed. That's the reason every package that we design should contain login concept as well, which is a really, really important. Are we good? And we have 5 types and totally to capture the log details. SSIS log provider for SQL Server text file, XML, Windows event log, and SQL Server profiler trace files, what we call them as. Yes. And data source, yeah, components actually. So here we can see all the things now, like sources, transformations, and destinations. Right. Any questions on this, guys? Any questions on this, Amma? There is no demo, guys. It's a continuation session, actually. Right? Yeah. Right. Any questions, Amma? Right. Next point is most frequently used terminology in SSIS. What terminology that we use? Executables and components. What are executables? Package is an eatable, something that you can eat. Executable, something that you can execute. Package can be executed. A task can be executed. A container can be executed. Right? So, and component. Data flow source is a component. Data flow transformation is a component. And data flow destination is a component. So in entire SSIS, this is the most frequently used terminology that we are going to use from tomorrow onwards. Yes. Yes. I'm going to stop the recording, guys. Do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer.